Hello, guys. Hello. Welcome. It's Friday. C2E2 2018. Are you guys having a good time? Yeah? Are you guys ready to talk about some SpongeBob SquarePants? I heard you guys singing out here. I was impressed. Please welcome to the stage, Tom Kenny!
Listen, all you mother...
Come on up here, Tom!
Listen, all you mother...
And there you have
Hi,
it.
everybody. That seemed like, am I sitting on the right couch?
You're sitting in the correct couch,
Good.
unless you'd rather sit over
You're like,
here.
I don't want you any closer to me, Tom Kenny. Okay.
No, I mean, I could come sit next to you, but I kind of like this, living room vibe.
I
yeah?
like it. I like it.
I like
Yeah.
it too. So, I mean, unbelievable. Almost 20 years, SpongeBob. Did you ever imagine when you first signed on to play the role that you would be sitting here with such a passionate and dedicated fan base?
No, and thank you guys. Thanks so much. No, I mean, next year will be 20 years of SpongeBob because it debuted in '99. And, no, it's just, you're just trying to get a gig when you're an actor. And then, and then you make a pilot, then you hope the pilot gets picked up, and then you hope that the series gets picked up for another season. And next thing you know, it's 2 decades later.
Well, and when you're pitched the show, yeah, he's a sponge. He lives in a pineapple, and he's the. What were your initial thoughts?
Well, Steve Hillenburg pitched me the show because he had worked on Rocko's Modern Life. It's his first gig. Steven Hillenburg's a beautiful person, and so he kind of had this idea percolating in his brain after Rocko came to its end, after the 3 seasons or whatever. Steve got a chance to pitch his own show, and he was really into ocean science, and so he had done a little comic book called the Intertidal Zone, where to give to the kids. He worked at a summer camp where they were learning about oceanography and ocean sciences. So he made a little comic book called the Intertidal Zone that would introduce kids to the animals that live in the tide pool. So crabs and starfish and sponges and stuff like that. So when he got a chance to pitch his own thing to Nickelodeon, he went back to that old comic book that he had made for kids when he was a camp counselor and said, maybe there's something there. So after Rocko, he had me come to his house and he showed me, he said, this is what I'm thinking of pitching, and he just had everything laid out so beautifully together. And Nickelodeon had not seen it yet. Nobody had seen anything SpongeBob yet, except for a couple of his friends. He's a very shy guy. And so he had, drawings of SpongeBob, who was called Sponge Boy at that time, and, Mr. Krabs and Squidward. And he had like little watercolor paintings of SpongeBob's Pineapple House and Squidward's Tiki Head House and the Lobster Trap Krusty Krab restaurant. And he just had it all so well thought out, and it was so magical and beautiful. And he was kind of shy about showing it to me, like, I don't know, it was just like just stupid, And I was like, I just fell in love with it instantly. And he said, I want you to be the voice of SpongeBob. I'm going to try to have Nickelodeon not audition any other actors. You're the guy, I think you have some SpongeBob personality. He's got some of your DNA. You have some of his DNA, and so I was telling somebody a little earlier today. It's the only gig on my resume on my IMDb that I did not have to audition for.
Wow.
Was SpongeBob, because usually as an actor, your whole life is auditioning. You go out and you just hope that you're the person they pick, and they're, it's down to you and 4 other guys. It's down to you and 3 other guys. It's down to you and 1 other guy, and then. This kind of grueling process, and then they go, they went with the other guy, or hey, you got it, or they went with a celebrity, or whatever. There's variations of the way it can take, but you just hope that your audition is the one that pops a little bit more, so they go, God, I kind of like what that guy's did with his audition. But SpongeBob, I didn't have to worry about any of that. Everybody else auditioned, Bill Fager, Bucky Patrick, and Squidward, Roger Bumpus, everybody had to audition, and then Steve really had a clear idea, just the same way he did visually. He had a really clear idea of orally what he wanted for every character to sound like. And I'm still amazed, 20 years later, I'm just amazed that he kind of had this X-ray vision where all the actors on the show are kind of like their characters in real life, And Steve knew me, but he didn't know the other people. And Bill does have some Patrick in him, and Roger does have some Squidward in him, and Mr. Lawrence does have some Plankton in him. And it's funny that he was just able to be that intuitive. I'm just like, what's that like?
Well, and to have the universe all planned out and then to see it executed, that's pretty rare.
Yeah,
well.
Yeah, and he fought for his creation, like stuff that maybe the network wanted to change, or he dug in on it and fought for his vision in a way that's pretty inspirational to me 20 years down the road, of like, yeah, you have to do that if you want your vision to reach. It's a very delicate dance, because you have to play well with others. It's their, your show's on a network. They hold all the cards. You want them to pick up your show. But they also have a lot of ideas that might not fit your conception, and they'll try to foist those upon you, And Steve was always very good at dancing the dance, of a little, you got to, basically it's choose your battles, pick your battles, right? That's kind of what the whole business is about.
A metaphor for life.
Yes, exactly. Choose your battles.
So the voice actually of SpongeBob is kind of a hybrid of a couple different,
Yes.
components. And so I'm wondering if you can talk us through the process of creating that voice and the character.
Yeah, well, really it came again from Steve knowing what he wanted, and Steve's not a voice guy, not an actor, and doesn't want to be. And so he just described SpongeBob's psyche in such good, awesome detail to me, and had all these visual aids and pictures, and I remember him saying, he's half a boy and half a man. He's kind of like a grown-up, but he's a kid too. He lives by himself in a house, but he's also like a little kid. He's got a job, but he's also very childish. And him and Patrick are like 4-year-olds, that still hold hands and skip around together, and kind of like Pee Wee Herman meets a Munchkin meets, he had like all these things, and I knew exactly where he needed me to go.
Yeah.
And he was
It was perfect. So once SpongeBob came out, and then once the
laugh like came out of nowhere, Steve was like, "Wow, that's great!"
Don't change it.
Don't change it. That's cool. And it goes like a dolphin. It's like a dolphin poking its head out of the water and doing that.
In the beginning, did you know you were going to voice other characters as well on the
On
show?
SpongeBob?
Yeah.
As so often
Or did that just evolve naturally?
Well, this is kind of inside baseball stuff, but when you're doing like a SAG after a union scale voiceover gig, they get 3 voices out of you, right? And then with your 4th voice, when you go up to 4 voices, you get like a little bump, like 10% bump or whatever. And so that scale payment generally is for 1 to 3 voices, so it behooves them cost-wise to just hire people that can do a few different voices. So yeah, I was always Gary from the beginning, and then 2 hours later, the French narrator that was based on
Jacques Cousteau.
Right. So I just started doing him pretty early on. But again, like when you start doing this stuff, nobody thinks that you're still going to be doing it 20 years later. And the same thing with the Apache the Pirate on-camera segments. They were just like, Steve was like, we want to do some framing devices that are just like the ultimate crappy, low-budget kids show, on your local station in 1966, and so
sweet.
so I was just there. Yeah, I was just there. They're like, okay, so they slap a patch on you and black out your tooth, and you're Apache the Pirate, and it's a blast. It's still fun to do. We still do it every Wednesday, and I we all still really look forward to doing it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily truth, but I did read that you guys record as a group, an ensemble,
yeah,
which is
absolutely
really unusual, I think.
Yeah,
for a lot of
yeah.
animation.
We all record together, and I'm the voice director too for the last few seasons. So yeah, I think you really gain something. It might not immediately be perceptible to your conscious ear, But I think there's something about getting these people that know their characters really well, all in a room at the same time and just performing it like it's a radio play, like it's a radio show. And it's not like, oh, show up and do your lines, and you'll be in and out in an hour, and then we'll have Squidward come in for an hour, and we'll cut everybody together. You know, a lot of shows do it that way, and most feature films do it that way. But I don't know. I love all the stuff that I love, like Bullwinkle and Rocky and Looney Tunes and all that. Like people were in the room at the same time. You know, any of the Hanna-Barbera stuff, Flintstones, Jetsons, all that. You know, most people were, people were there at the same time. And so, luckily, I would say the majority of shows that I'm on do ensemble recording, even though I think that's getting increasingly rare, but for some reason I tend to get on shows where they do it that way.
That's, yeah, I mean, I think it would make a big difference, and I think
it's so much more fun.
With
You're cracking each
SpongeBob,
other up,
yeah.
and there's off-color ad-libs flying around, and it's, ooh, yeah, there's some tapes out there.
So let's go back to the beginning of your career. You've been a part of so many great projects, as you just mentioned a few, and Adventure Time and so many other things. But I want to know, in the beginning, how did you sort of break into the voiceover business? It's kind of an exclusive little group.
It is, and I wanted to be a voiceover guy way before I was able to get my nose under the tent. It was really hard to get my nose. It was such a tough nut to crack, and. So I started out as a stand-up, like pretty young, like by my early 20s, I was already making a living as a stand-up comedian, where I didn't have to have a regular job and stuff. I was like, okay, I guess I figured this out, okay. So and then I wrote on shows, and stuff like that. But voiceover was always the thing that I wanted to be doing, but I just couldn't break that freaking glass ceiling. It was driving me crazy. And then Rocko was my first, Rocko's Modern Life was my first animated series, and Carlos Alazraqui, who did the voice of Rocko, had been a stand-up in Northern California and San Francisco as well, and Joe Murray, the creator of Rocko, said, hey, are there any voiceover people, any guys that I should know about that I'm not hearing? And Carlos said, this guy Tom Kenny, he's funny, and he does different voices. So Carlos, I pretty much owe Carlos, for everything. Carlos got me in on Rocko, and that's where I met Steve Hillenburg, and it's everything. You realize, I mean, whatever career you're in, it's really about the people you meet along the way that has much more to do with the big picture than where you went to school or where you studied, or it's really just the people you meet in your salad days are the people that you wind up kind of running into for the next 40 years of your career. And I still work with Carlos,
It's really true. I always say, the business is kind of like one big high school,
It is, yeah, and it's nice. And I'm actually that rare person that actually liked high school, I had a good, people are like, oh, I would never go back to high school. I'm like, I had a pretty freaking good time in high school, But you're right, it is like high school, but it maybe even a little better because you kind of know who you are already.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
you're kind of not a pod. You're not a Invasion of the Body Snatchers pod person, kind of half formed.
That's your description of a teenager, right?
Yeah, that's what a teenager is. Yeah, you're like a pod person.
A pod person.
Yeah.
I can't think of a job that would be more difficult than stand-up. So tell us a little bit about your time on the circuit and how you would develop your routines.
I had a good time doing stand-up. I started doing it. In fact, to go way back, the first time I did stand-up, I answered an ad in my local alternative newspaper in Syracuse, New York, the Syracuse New Times, which is like the Chicago Reader or whatever. And in 1978, I answered an ad. There was a little classified ad saying, I'm starting a stand-up comedy open mic here in town. Anybody interested, please call this number, blah, blah, blah. And it was this guy named Barry Crimmins. And my high school friend, Bobcat Goldthwait, and I, Bobcat and I met in first grade. We met when we were 6 years old. We've known each other since we were 6.
You weren't even pod.
Yeah, and I still hang out with him like once a week, 50 years later, literally 50 years later. Half a century later, him and I are still kicking around going, it's like we still sort of don't know what we're doing, but I guess we're doing okay. And he we answered this ad in the newspaper, and we showed up, and this guy, Barry Crimmins, who was kind of this crusty guy with a cigarette and a big mustache, you know, we showed up, and we said, okay, we're here for the open mic. And he said, "You're children. You didn't tell me when you called that you were children." And we said, "Well, you didn't ask how old we were, you know?" And he said, "Well, I can't put you on. You're not even supposed to be in this place. It's a bar, you know. You're not even supposed to be in here. You know, I can't put you up." And we said, "Come on, put us up." We drove here in a blizzard. We drove 45 minutes in a snowy blizzard, you know, put us up. And he put us up. And he was, Barry Crimmins was kind of the first guy, the first adult in my life that was really, that was kind of associated with show business, kind of, that was encouraging. And he said, "Wow, you know, you're good. You can do this. You can do this. You know, this is in Syracuse, you know. Every other adult in my life was trying to get me to learn how to cut meat or work on an auto assembly line or something like that. Like, that's what all my, you know, that's what people did in Syracuse, you know. And they didn't really understand the aspiration of somebody who wants to be Mel Blanc, you know. They don't, I want to be a cartoon voice guy. Yeah, that's nice. Have fun with that, you know. Meanwhile, learn how to cut meat. You'll always have a job, Tommy. People will always need a butcher. So
It is true.
It's true. So Barry Crimmins was this guy that was instrumental to Bobcat and I starting out. And then Barry Crimmins moved from Syracuse to Boston, Massachusetts, became kind of like a bigwig on the Boston comedy scene, booking shows and that. And Bobcat and I moved to Boston when we were, you know, 20, you know, 19, 20 years old. And so he was, you know, Barry took care of us there and made sure that we got on at places. And interesting, I don't know if you guys, this Barry Crimmins guy, if you Google him, it'll blow your mind. He just passed away. And he passed away in March. And Barry was one of the early people, like when computers were just starting out, like Barry was an early adapter to computers and became a warrior for young victims of sexual abuse, because Barry had been abused as a kid by a family friend. So in addition to being a comedian, he was very early on, like in the days of dial-up modems, became maybe one of the first, if not the first, people to trap predators online, like pose as a 12-year-old or whatever, and like get these guys. So he went up and testified in front of Congress, like in the early days of computers, saying, you know, there's stuff going on. There's people trading files and stuff, and the companies don't care because they get paid by the minute or the hour for the modem. They're not vetting what people are trading, and it is a superstore for this awful, sick stuff that victimizes kids. So Barry, you know, Barry's kind of like he's kind of like this Avenger, you know. So kind of a crazy, a cool guy to meet when you're 16 years old, and he impacted my whole life. His politics. He was the first radical. He was the first political radical that I had ever met. You know, like left of left, and that obviously imprinted really deeply on me too. So Bobcat made a documentary about Barry called "Call Me Lucky" that you can watch for free on Vimeo and places like that. If you guys get a chance to see it, it's quite amazing. And Barry went on to have this, you know, big influence on, you know, whatever, everybody from Margaret Cho to Patton Oswalt to people like that.
Wow, that is such
Mark Maron.
Yeah. So we're gonna take audience questions. If you guys want to line up in the mics, there's gonna be some mics in the aisle. And while people are getting themselves organized, I think there's been, 229 episodes of SpongeBob or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, something around there.
228 and a half.
8.5, yeah. Is there a standout episode, and if so, for what reason?
Oh man, those first couple seasons are always like the best, you know. Any time a show is like forming and it's in its infancy and stuff is just, you know, you're starting to conquer the world. That's a great time, you know. And I've been on a lot of shows, and I love that period where it's just starting to catch on, where you see, wow, Powerpuff Girls is starting to catch
like
on,
it,
you know,
yeah.
back then, or they like it, you know, or Adventure Time, anything like that, Rick and Morty. Those are all shows where like you go, wow, this means a little bit more to people than
Oh,
than
Rick
the
and Morty
regular
is
show.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And a lot of kids that grew up on, like, I didn't realize that, like, SpongeBob was like the Rick and Morty starter kit.
yeah.
Right? It's like all these kids that were 10 years old, like when SpongeBob started out, or 8 years old, and now it's 20 years later, and they're going, dude, I really love Rick and Morty, bro. Oh, squanchy, dude. Whoa.
It definitely was the
Could you do me a favor and not do Mr. Jellybean, King Jellybean, please? Could you not do that? That creeps me out. It's like, okay.
Hi, we'll start over here.
Oh, there we are.
Hi, I'm Jimmy. I'm from Lansing, Michigan.
Hi, Jimmy.
You talked about going on a lot of auditions. Is there any audition that you didn't get that you really wish you did?
Oh,
or
every
any
day.
audition that you did get, or yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
so one that I didn't get that I wish I got?
And also one that you didn't get that you're glad you didn't get.
Oh, I wouldn't say like as a journeyman actor, you're happy every time you close the deal and you go, hey, great, I got to, you never stop being that kind of hungry guy that's in there pitching, ham and eggs, a brawler, you know what I mean? Like bottom of the fight card, But I would say that there have been auditions that I've done where you just go balls to the wall and like really like bring it in the audition, and then you get the gig, and then you have to do that for 4 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Eduardo on Foster's. I'm doing this for like years. I am not I like potatoes, I like potatoes. Like you're like, wow, that's really hard to do for 4 hours. I wish I'd done a slightly different voice in the audition, but now I'm trapped, But I do audition all the time, and there's yeah, I wouldn't say one skill that you learn to have, and I had it. I was lucky enough that as a stand-up comedian, I developed it early, before I was even doing voiceover. Is just letting stuff go. You know what I mean? You get you rhino skin. You get what we call it rhino skin. You just get really thick rhino skin, so that you're just like, all right, tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another audition. But yeah, there's some stuff that I've gotten really close on, like Fry on Futurama.
Yeah.
Like I went down to the wire on Fry, and I, but now Billy West. There's
Other things.
Billy West is Fry. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have been as good as Billy. So, but there's always stuff where you go, I missed it by that much, but it all works out.
Thank you. Great question.
Thanks. Yeah, good question.
You have to have
the universe goes back into balance.
You have to have a certain ability as an artist to be okay with not knowing what's happening next.
Yeah, you have no control over your destiny. Well, what you have control over is your audition.
Your performance.
So all you can do is go, I'm just going to try to read these tea leaves and look at this drawing and that little personality profile they gave me, and I'm going to try to make, really it's about, auditions, right, are about making your best guess. So you're like, all I can do is make my best guess. And then once I put that out into the universe, my relationship with it's kind of over, I have to move on. And then if it's a booty call that I can revisit later, then okay, hey baby, I'm back, But it's like it's a weird way to live. Civilians kind of it's hard for them to figure to picture it,
We're gonna go over here. Hi.
Hi, my name is Monica from
Hi,
the
Monica.
South Side of Chicago.
Yeah.
Yay. Woo, South Side. So my question is that you've done so many characters over a number of years, and especially with you doing SpongeBob for so many years and seasons, how do you keep it fresh as a voice actor, all the different characters over time?
That's a great question. And, I feel like we don't have to keep it fresh because the writing keeps it fresh. And also, what always stays fresh is just that you're glad you got a job.
Right.
It's never like, oh, I got to go in and do SpongeBob, or I got to do the Ice King for 4 hours, time to make the donuts. It's never like that. It's always like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, because I never had a plan B. So this is it. You know what I mean? Like I'm unloading trucks, or doing some. I never had any other skills except what I do. So, which in a way was good because it just makes you just pursue the crap out of that because you there's no other choice.
There's no alternative.
Yeah, you go. I have no alternative. I gotta like really kill it at this, or else because
Yeah.
My wife is from the Southwest side. Like Midway Airport was her backyard. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there was like the runway of Midway Airport and then my wife's house, Really. So yeah, and she and I have 0 days of college experience between us. So yeah, so she joined Second City right out of high school here in Chicago, and I started doing stand-up kind of right in high school. So yeah, neither of us ever had a plan B. So it's amazing that we managed to like raise 2 kids and not be living in a cardboard box under a bridge.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you. Great question.
But yeah, just the job keeps it fresh, just going in
Yeah,
and doing it
the creative
and working
team.
with other actors. And now that I'm an old guy, like having my bosses be like younger than I am, like you meet the creator of the show and he seems like a child, you know what I mean? And you're just like, at first it's a little weird, but then you're like, I dig this young energy.
Yeah.
It keeps me. I feel like I'm perennially 22 years old, which my wife will tell you I probably am.
That's good. Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
My name is Luis. I'm also from Chicago, south of, actually 10 minutes south of Midway.
All right. Yeah.
So I grew up actually watching Rocko and know you there from as Heffer and everything. And my question is, with the new film coming out, was it hard or easy to get back into character? How was it like working again with all the folks?
It's funny, like the people, most of the people that worked on Rocko, I've continued to work on post Rocko. Like I said, Carlos Alazraqui, Mr. Doug Lawrence, that was Filbert, is also Plankton on SpongeBob. So, and Joe Murray and I, we cross paths from time to time. And the fun thing about that, but I hadn't done Heffer in a lot of years, so I did have to go back to my my Shout Factory DVDs. And whip them out and like kind of remember make sure that I was remembering Heffer's voice correctly, right? Because it's like, it's been a while. But the great thing about that movie or special, whatever you want to call it, that's coming out, I guess, soon. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's so much like the original series. Like we were all jazzed that it seemed like it could be a lost episode of like mid-90s Rocko, and we were all just on cloud 9 over that, and Joe Murray really kept the faith. Like all the backgrounds and stuff like that are hand painted, hand drawn, like on the old show. None of it was done on a computer. He really wanted it to have that handmade feel. So yeah, it was a blast. It's really good. I think you're gonna like it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, you bet. Luis.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name is Ellis. I'm from the Chicago suburbs, like north of here, and I wanted to know about what was your audition process for Elf Bowling the movie, and what were your overall thoughts on being in that movie, Stinger Kringle?
Elf Bowling the movie. Like there's so much stuff that comes up, and you just audition with. They go, you go in with a stack of copy. You go in for a stack of copy with. The booth, and you just audition for a bunch of stuff. And one was for this app, this game, Elf Bowling. And so we just, you just go in, you do it, and you just, again, you make your best guess, you wind up getting the gig. But the funny thing is, the guy who wound up writing the script for that Elf Bowling special was the guy who, it was Martin Olson, who, wrote a lot of Rockos and really helped write the new Rocko. And he plays, he's the real life and on screen father of oh my God, who's Marceline, of Marceline the Vampire Girl in Adventure Time. So that's just a guy that I've known forever. Again, it's in fact, Martin Olson, when I first moved to Boston to do stand-up from Syracuse, and I was 20 years old, and they brought me up. Martin Olson was the guy playing the piano when the comedians would come on and off. Like the MC would go, "Please welcome Tom Kenny," and he'd go, "Da, da, 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 da." That was Martin Olson. So it's like, you just keep running into the same people for
high school.
decades. It's high school. So yeah, so Elf Bowling had more to do with that. Like you just audition, and then the guy who's writing it, and you go, "Okay, I'm in."
Yep.
I think we did that whole thing in like 1 or 2 sessions. It was very low budge. It was very ghetto.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have a couple new projects coming out. One drops today.
One
right?
drops today, yeah. Bug Salad on Nick.com, which is like a really, really funny new animated show by Carl Ferrolo. And he's a really funny guy that's had his hand in a lot of different Nickelodeon series, really, funny cat. And Bug Salad, that drops today.
And what's the premise of Bug Salad, real quick?
Bug Salad, it's a bunch of bugs that live in a garden.
Okay.
And hilarity ensues. It's very character based. Like I guess they could be humans, or it doesn't really matter what
Sounds
they are.
familiar.
Their personalities,
Yeah.
they're great. And then May 4th is
Paradise
PD, which is by the guys that created Brickleberry.
It looks so funny, by the way.
Have you seen Paradise PD?
I've seen little
It's
little
basically
clips, yeah.
Brickleberry season 4.
Yeah.
It's basically Brickleberry, because Brickleberry was about inept forest rangers, and then it got, it didn't get picked up, and then when I was auditioning, they go, we just want you to do Woody from Brickleberry, and I said, really? Do you want me to give him a different accent or something like that? They're like, nope, just Woody.
Just
And I
straight.
go, so this is basically Brickleberry 2.0. And they go, yep, as far as we're concerned, this is Brickleberry. So I go, all right, okay. So it was,
And
but
that's
it
May
felt
4th.
weird. I felt like I was double dipping, I'm like, you don't want it. So it's the same guy, same voice, same character. Yep, same guy. This
sure?
feels wrong. Yeah, this feels wrong. I kept second guessing them. Like, are you sure? They're like, do it. Just freaking do it, Kenny.
Like, okay. Hi.
Hi, my name's Gwen.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi. I just wanted to know what your favorite episode to film was out of SpongeBob or Adventure Time.
Oh, man.
Good question.
I would say my favorite SpongeBob episode is Band Geeks. Somebody, right, is mayonnaise an instrument? Classic. Right. Sweet, Sweet Victory? Classic. And then for Adventure Time, I Remember You, I'd have to say, is my favorite Adventure Time episode. Yeah. Adventure Time, like that's a fun episode because the Ice King kind of gets to tug at your heartstrings. Simon, you get to see that he wasn't always this evil guy. That there was kind of a path. He's the way he is for a reason, and it's fun to be able to go back and reverse engineer a character like that because he started out just being kind of the burlesque bad guy of the show, and then they gave him this crazy backstory that was oddly affecting.
Made sense,
Yeah. People cry. They go, I cry when I see that episode. It's like, cool,
Do you have a favorite SpongeBob episode?
Probably just the Doodle Bob episode.
Doodle Bob is great.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we just did a sequel to that one. Yeah. Yeah. Doodle Bob. Thanks, Miss Gwen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
My name is Hector. I'm from Cicero, so
Cool.
barely near Midway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess since it's now topical that we all know that the first three Spyro games are being remade, how was, I guess I want to ask, how's the transition of replacing a voice actor? Because you replaced Carlos Azraqui from the first Spyro game and did the next three after that. So how was that?
Yeah, and then I myself was replaced by Elijah Wood. Let's not forget that.
Oh, yeah.
But he was another Spyro. Well, it's funny, talk about that rhino skin. I always say every voice actor I know has been the replacer and the replaced.
Replacee.
And the replacee. Yeah, it just happens. So, they decide they want to go in a different direction. It's a little different if it's like a contract negotiation where they go, where the Simpsons are trying to get more money, and then they go, hey, anybody do a good Homer? Yeah, most of the voice actors will go, no, this is like, I'm not going to go in and undercut my compadres, So, but when they decide to do a different, Carlos was totally fine with it, and then when Elijah Wood came in, I was totally fine with it. But it's funny they're doing, they're redoing those games, but the dialogue is the same. They're just upgrading the animation,
Oh, so they're
but the
pulling
sound
the-
files weren't
Yeah.
of sufficient quality. So basically, they're playing performances of me from 1996 in my earphones, my cans, and then I'm just parroting it back, and it's like, and I'm just going, God, I never would say that line like that now. Like, I sucked.
That's
you're
like-
like, God, I sucked, but it's fun that to be the Spyro that's the one that they bring back,
Yeah.
is kind of fun. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Liam, and I was wondering what your favorite character from SpongeBob was.
Oh, hi, Liam. I think my favorite character, believe it or not, maybe it's because I'm getting old and cranky, Squidward. I'm a Squidward fan. I think Squidward is one of the great comedy characters of all time. Like, Squidward is deep, you know what I mean? Like, there's wells of, like, disappointment and disillusionment and also, like, jealousy. Like, he wants to be, like I realized from the beginning of doing SpongeBob show that Squidward wants to be like SpongeBob and Patrick. He wants to be able to get in a cardboard box and play and use his imagination, but he just can't get there. And that drives him crazy, and then that makes him jealous of SpongeBob and Patrick, and then, you know, so he becomes like the crabby neighbor. But Squidward's got layers, you know. Squidward's got a lot of layers, and Roger Bumpus brings them all out beautifully. So we actually think about this stuff. That's pretty weird, right? Yeah, it's not just going in and going, nah, 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 nah. You know, we're like, wow, what makes these characters tick? You know, we have these discussions all the time.
Which one is your favorite character?
I personally like Mr. Krabs a lot.
You like Mr. Krabs? Wow, because you're greedy and avaricious? Hate to spend money?
Yeah.
Clancy Brown has never done a Comic-Con, except for, you know, he'll do SpongeBob panels at San Diego and stuff, but he's never sat and signed. I'm always trying to get him. I'm like, Clancy, you'll love it. The people are beautiful. You'll love it. He's like, well, maybe someday. I don't know.
Thank you. What's your favorite part about coming to events like this?
My favorite part?
Yes.
Oh, you know, I love it all. Like I said, I've been going as long before I was a voiceover guy. I was going to Comic-Cons as a nerd. So I just love it. It's just, you know, I spend half my time, you know, on this side of things, and then I spend the other half of my time just kind of wandering around and go, wow, cool, wow, there's that guy.
What are some of the
He
things?
used to draw for Mad Magazine. You know, it's like,
what are some of the things that you geek out about?
oh my gosh, man, classic animation, old rock and roll, you know, old soul music. I've got like this crazy band that plays called Tom Kenny and the High Seas that plays around LA. It's like a 13-piece soul band with like horns and girls, and everybody dresses like really cool. So it's like
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's like people are like, yeah, because you need some more stuff to keep you busy, you know. But it's I didn't realize how all-encompassing it was going to be when I started doing that. But so yeah, old rock and roll, you know, animation, comic books, like same stuff that, you know, everybody's got their thing.
Absolutely. Hi.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm from Chicago.
Hi, Morgan.
My question is about Adventure Time. So when you first knew you were going to be the Ice King, did
Yes.
you know about his backstory from the beginning? And also, can you do the Ice King voice for us?
Oh, of course, I'd be happy to. I'd love to. This is some serious whiz-biz, yo. Keep it tight. It was,
Yeah, I do Gunther too. But Adventure Time was fun because like Ooh is like Springfield on The Simpsons. There's like 150,000 characters in Ooh, you know. So I get to be Tiny Manticore, and I get to be Starchy the Gravedigger, you know, all these people, and it's really fun to do. But Adventure Time was the opposite of SpongeBob in that I auditioned for the Ice King many, many, many times, and they kept bringing me back, and I was like, oh my God, you know, they're just not ready. What am I not doing that's making them hesitant to pull the trigger? And I'd walk in, there'd be a few other dudes sitting on the couch, you know, where, hey, you here for the Ice King? Yeah, me too. And I was trying to crack the code. But again, speaking about the replacer and the replaced, I was not the first Ice King. You know, that original online short where they go to Mars and Lincoln's on Mars, that really early episode. It's John Kassir, the Crypt Keeper from HBO's Tales from the Crypt, was the original Ice King. So yeah, that was. They did not tell me his backstory, by the way. I don't know that they knew the Ice Simon's backstory. I don't think they. Maybe they had an idea of where they were gonna go, but it kind of like happened over time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hi, Mike Peters here.
Hey, Mike Peters.
Hey, first
Mother
of all,
Goose and Grimm.
Oh yeah, you was
Right.
after
It's
that,
the name of
right?
the cartoonist that does Mother Goose and Grimm.
Right.
Nerd. Thank you.
Okay.
What a nerd.
First, I want to say, awesome portrayal of Scary Moose from the last season of Samurai Jack.
Oh.
Loved it. It was.
Thanks, babe. I really appreciate it.
All right. My question is: throughout your career, have you often found yourself actually auditioning for voice roles, or have compared to how often people have come to ask for you to do a voice role? How often between both of those?
Well, I think that he said the only
I got to unpack that.
the only job that he has ever not auditioned for was SpongeBob. And
Yeah. So
everything
what's your
else-
question?
He was basically saying, do you still have to audition? And yes.
Oh yeah, I audition every day. You know, and some of it's for commercials. You know, it's America's most trusted truck. You know, like stuff like that. Like some of it's like really straight stuff. Coming up next on an all new must see whatever. You know, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, and just kind of normal stuff, like just stuff I've been doing for years. Like just different places. You know, like whatever. Like the, you know, it's. You know, Boo at the zoo. Come on down and meet the Easter Bunny at the LA Zoo. You know, stuff like that. Like a lot of it's like really straight stuff that people don't know is me.
Right.
And some of that stuff's really, really fun to do. And I always feel like I'm getting away with something when I can use something that's kind of close to my own voice. But yeah, I audition all the time. Commercials, video games. I mean, I think because I like it. Like I kind of like that.
The whole process is creative as well, even if you don't get the
got it.
job. Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, I kind of like trying to figure it out, and then sometimes you win, and most of the time you lose. But it always gets your wheels are always turning. You know,
Yep.
it keeps you from getting bored in your work life. which
Absolutely.
Most people don't like what they do for a living.
You have to be very lucky to be able to do something you love and
Absolutely.
make a profession of it. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Great question. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Deja, and I'm
Hey,
from
Deja.
the west side of Chicago.
You
Okay.
representing the West Side.
My question is about a show that's pretty obscure. No one really talks about it anymore, but it's one of my favorite shows that you voiced on.
I got a lot of those obscure shows on my resume, on my IMDb.
Do you remember voicing Gibson from Super Robot
Of
Monkey Team Hyperforce
course.
Go?
Super
was it
Robot
like?
Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. Yes. And Cyril Neely took over Ninja Turtles for Nickelodeon, recently. But for years he's been doing that. But yeah, I loved Super Robot Monkey Team. Yeah, Hal Gibson, the Blue Monkey. He was a very cultured. He's very cultured like that. It was nice to be able to do that sort of a character. He was like the smartest guy in the room, right? I loved him. He was the blue one. Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. Yeah.
Are you happy now?
He never screamed.
I'm so glad you remember.
I love that show.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up that show.
That's
too.
one of those shows that I thought never quite got its fair shake, you know? Because what was it on Disney XD, right? It originally aired on Disney XD, and I think it never quite found its audience, you know? But it would have if it had been in a different place, different time, you know? Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Maybe there'll be a revival.
Maybe there'll be a revival. Nothing ever really goes away.
Yep. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Harley.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Well, my real name's Brittany. I'm from.
Hi, Brittany.
Thank you. Oh, hi. Sorry, I'm really nervous. I'm from Bartlett, and I've watched SpongeBob my entire life. I was born in '97. I actually remember in preschool, I dressed up as SpongeBob, and no one knew what I was. They're like, "What are you, a cheese?" I'm like, "I'm SpongeBob." No, I'm SpongeBob. You know, like. No one had any idea. And
Wow.
then,
So you were cosplaying when you were 24 months old.
yeah, basically.
That's insane.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. But my question for you is, what are your top 5 favorite lines from SpongeBob? So,
Oh gosh, let's see. I'm ready. That's one. It's the best day ever. You do like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward? You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
And let's see. The other one, I don't know why, but this is really freeing to be able to go in and get paid to do like every week. Ah! Like, it's like that's so cathartic to just like primal scream because the world weighs down on you sometimes,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And like just to be able to like primal scream all that crap on the news like every night, out of your life, so I guess would be one of my favorite lines to do as
just
SpongeBob.
one more question. Can you sing the Krusty Krab pizza for us?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's season 1, yo. That was 150 years ago.
The Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza for you and me. The Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza at Tivoli.
Krusty Krab. Yeah.
I don't know where it goes from there, but you and me. That's
impressive.
Thanks. You know why it's hard to do that? Like, thank you. It's hard to do that because, like, I remember like Steve Hillenburg just said, just go crazy. So like there was never like a paradigm for like that song. He goes, just sing a bunch of stupid stuff and just be as dumb as possible. And so that's what it turned into.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How much of the show, how much of your dialogue is improv?
You know, they're very generous on SpongeBob about letting us ad-lib, you know, so generally we do 3 takes of every scene. So you'll do 2, and I'm the voice director, like I said. So, but I'm usually on the same side of the glass as everybody else, just kind of directing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not on the other side generally. So we'll do 2 takes as written, and then we have what we call our S and giggles. Now we'll do one for shits and giggles, and that's the shits and giggles take is the one where you just do what you feel is right. You can let it go, and a lot of times that's what winds up in the show. But obviously any ad-libbing has to be stuff that they can use. It's got to be G-rated. It can't be scatological because it won't get in. So we all know our characters so well. And so sometimes SpongeBob and Patrick or Squidward's great at ad-libbing, you know, Roger, like and so is Doug Lawrence, Plankton. And my wife, Jill, plays, she's Karen the computer, like Plankton's wife. So her and Doug Lawrence will just go off on these marital spats, you know, where it's funny. A lot of it sounds vaguely familiar to me, and I go, wow.
You're like, wait, that
yeah, she's
happened last
accessing
night.
a real argument that we had 2 weeks ago. But what a jerk I am. But it's so it's definitely in there. We get to ad lib and mess around.
That's great.
It's fun.
Hi.
Hello, my name is Braden. I'm from Austin, Texas.
Hey, Braden.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a scene where you play every single character and you're just talking to yourself?
Yes. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Like, we just did an episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob somehow gets infected by like the DNAs of the other characters. So it's SpongeBob, as Sandy, SpongeBob channeling Sandy, SpongeBob channeling Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob channeling Squidward, and just stuff like that. But yeah, there've been a lot of when you're a voiceover person, there's a lot of times where there's conversations between characters that you do both of, or sometimes a 3-way conversation of. And at first, when I first started doing voiceover, that was alchemy to me. Like, how do these guys do that? Oh my God, I better improve my game really fast, because these guys, like Charlie Adler, that was like the big heads on Rocko's Modern Life, and he was both big heads, and he was all kinds of stuff. And Cow and Chicken, he's everybody on Cow and Chicken. He's Cow and Chicken and the red guy, he's everybody. And when I first saw him doing that, it was like demonic possession, you know what I mean? Like I was like, holy cow, you know what I mean? And that it was kind of motivating to me to go, I better learn how to do that, So I kind of locked myself in a closet and learned how to do that. But yeah, it happens more than you would expect.
Oh yeah, especially if you're voicing 3 or, like you said,
yes,
even occasionally more characters.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Yeah. Thank you so much.
In fact, I think that episode of SpongeBob is the one that I'm up for an Emmy for this year.
You're up for an Emmy for that episode. Good job.
Only took 20 years. We'll see.
I have a good feeling about it. Hi.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, Kim.
So you said that you never really had a plan B, and it sounds like you've moved around quite a bit. So my question is, what's the most insane or terrifying thing that you've done in pursuit of comedy or acting gigs?
Oh, man. Well, it's fun. Like, you kind of never know where things are going to take you. So, I mean, there've been so much like stuff where there's moments that happen all the time where you go, how did this happen? How did I get here? Like a lot of times it involves physical danger. Like I remember, remember the band Smashing Pumpkins?
Oh, yes.
Right? Yes. There's a video for a song called Tonight Tonight. And my wife and I are this couple in that music video that like we fly into outer space and we meet mermaids down under the sea, and there's all this stuff that happens. You can look it up on YouTube or whatever. And there was a moment where supposedly we jump out of a rocket ship and then we're tumbling down to Earth. And I wound up in what they call like a spinning harness, and where they just, you're hoisted way up against a green screen, like high up, and then they have a guy just go, and you go, your head over heels. I get really bad motion sickness, so I'm about to puke, and I'm like, I also have kind of a fear of heights. I'm up there. My wife was fine with all of it, you know, but that was a moment where I was like, this is scary, and how the hell did I get here? But yeah,
What am I doing?
Look up that Smashing Pumpkins video. It'll blow your mind. That was 1996.
Thank you.
Pre-kids. Wow.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Mike from
Hi, Mike.
Milwaukee. I was wondering if you have a favorite Mr. Show sketch or memory from being on the set.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Mr. Show was great. We had a great time on that show. My wife was on that show too. And we, Bob Odenkirk's from Naperville, you know? Yeah, and so my wife knew Bob from Second City here in Chicago. I knew David Cross from East Coast stand-up. So we kind of got hired on Mr. Show, from one from the Bob angle, one from the David angle. And that was a really amazing experience because it was a really low-budget show. HBO had a tendency to bury it at like 4 a.m, you know. But it had this, like so many things that I've done, it had this cult following that was developing while it was on, but so much stuff that I've worked on is more powerful in death than it ever was in life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So Mr. Show was a blast, but nobody was making, it was all, none of us had kids yet. We were, you just had time to just throw yourself into all this stuff. But like, when I think about, like, when you look at those shows, you're like, wow, there's Sarah Silverman. I knew Jack Black when he was sleeping on a futon at his mother's house. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. I mean, when you look at those Mr. Shows, you're just like, wow, this is like a pretty mind-blowing
Collection
moment,
of artists,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, where everybody was just kind of starting out at the same time. It's really fun, and yeah, I've signed a couple of Mr. Show DVD boxes at the table today, and yeah, it was really Mr. Show was really a blast. I kind of boy, there's so many Mr. Show sketches that I love. A lot of them are the ones that I'm not in, but I tend to remember like Brooklyn Lincoln. Put your poo box away. You know that one. Where she's, yeah. The Mr. Show was great, man.
Yeah,
I only
thank
did
you.
3 seasons because it's funny. There's 4 seasons of Mr. Show. By the end of the 3rd season, voiceover was starting to hit for me, and I said, "Man, it's taking up. I gotta choose who I'm gonna dance with here." And my wife, who was very pregnant at that time, stayed on for like the last season, and she's super pregnant during that season of Mr. Show. It's pretty crazy to see her.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Alec. I'm from Chesterton, Indiana. Nice to meet you, by the way.
Were you at Indiana last week at that con?
No, I was not.
Oh, okay. I heard there was one in Indiana last week.
I heard there was one. I wasn't there either.
It was good. Anyway, sorry, Chester.
So, my question for you, do you or anyone else on the SpongeBob production team get excited looking forward to the constant stream of SpongeBob memes the internet kicks out?
Yeah. Yeah, I love the memes, you know. Yeah, the SpongeBob memes are great. You know, it's, the Stone Age SpongeBob, SpongeGar, Patar, you know. Like, but, I was saying this earlier. The ones that I like are the ones where the image gets used for something totally different than what its original intention was. Like this one. And so from what I understand, like that's like when you go, right? It's like, but that's just like a random pose from a SpongeBob cartoon, and then it took on this whole new life.
whole
It's
new
crazy.
life.
I love it. I love seeing that stuff, and I'm always amazed that there's new ones. There's new
every
ones coming.
day.
There's
Every
new
day.
ones every day. Yeah, yeah. You kind of feel that like excuse me, that you sort of have this weird pop cultural footprint that very few people get to participate in something that has that hold on things. I feel very just lucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like wow, that's so cool to be on a bunch of things that kind of have staying power. It's kind of nice. Like,
And it's always cool to be a
yeah, because I never had any strategy or anything. You're just trying to, you're just trying to be funny and stuff, and hope that the check clears, and then the stuff winds up still being around like decades later. It's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Meg. I'm from Chicago.
Hi, Megan.
I actually have a question for a good friend of mine who wants to break into animation.
Uh-huh.
And she was actually invited to apply for an open position you had on SpongeBob. And she started the whole process and froze up. She felt kind of like she was trying to work for Monet or do some classic, because that's what it was to her. So do you have any advice?
Yes. What did she want to do? What capacity was she going to work in?
She was going to be a new animator.
She was going to be a new animator. Wow. Oh, well, first of all, everybody on SpongeBob in any capacity, no matter what their job is, are all a bunch of goofballs that are flying by the seat of our pants, and none of us had that plan B. Most of us didn't. So there's no well, I was going to say there's no Monet involved, but hopefully there's a little bit of Monet involved. But if there's money involved, hopefully, but no Monet. She shouldn't freeze up. And we love like SpongeBob is something that's been around for a while. So anytime there's an incursion of like new blood, like some writer that grew up on SpongeBob and all they've ever wanted to do is, the SpongeBob episode that they wanted to do has been like in their brain since they were 8 years old, and now they're actually pitching that episode. Like that really gives everything just like this kick of adrenaline. So I'm sure they would look at her as this like infusion of adrenaline that we need, because you can't, you got to keep progressing. So tell her not to freeze up. Don't freeze up. Don't freeze up. Everybody's nice. Everybody's nice on SpongeBob.
You can tell.
There is not one
Yeah,
dickhead on
you can
SpongeBob.
you
Yeah,
can tell.
No.
Good luck to her.
Yeah, everybody's nice.
Good luck. Thank
Yeah.
you. And this is going to be our last question over here. Hi.
Hi, I'm Brianna.
Hi.
I'm just really curious. What's on your socks?
Oh.
I'm blind, and I'm so
Well,
curious.
Were you at the Alan Tudyk panel?
Yes, exactly. On my socks is my personal savior, Popeye the Sailor Man.
Ah.
Yeah, Popeye the Sailor. What were you seeing? Was it like a Rorschach test where you were like, I see an
Well,
elephant making love to the Philharmonic?
We kind of guessed that they were Doodle Bob. It was Doodle Bob. from
Oh,
back
you thought it was
there.
Doodle
Yeah,
Bob.
from back there, or maybe it was Santa Claus or a pug. Those
Good
are our
guesses.
guesses.
I do like Santa Claus, and I do like
the
pugs.
colors were right for Santa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any of those could very well have been right and could very well have been on my socks. But no, I got my Popeye socks, my good luck socks.
That's awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you. And
Thanks.
Tom, thank you so much. This
Thank
has
you
been
so
such
much.
an incredible hour.
Thanks,
you
everybody.
guys, did you
Thank you
enjoy
so much.
yourselves? All right. Give one
Thank
more
you.
round of applause, Tom Kenny.
Thanks for listening to me yap, everybody. See you at the table.